Wow, this franchise has come a long way, huh? If you would have told me that this demented blue fur demon would eventually go on to spawn a film franchise that would actually do right by the original property and characters and progressively get better with each movie until it released what might actually be the greatest video game movie we have seen up until this point, I would have asked you to stop huffing the galaxy gas and be a little realistic. However, that is exactly what has happened. The Sonic the Hedgehog movies have all continued to improve off of their predecessors, and this film is no exception. That title is not clickbait. I genuinely believe that Sonic the Hedgehog 3 is the best video game movie ever to come out so far, and I have a lot of things to say about it, so let's just get right into my thoughts. Oh, also, obviously, since this movie just came out, I won't be going into spoilers with it, but I may make another video about this movie with spoilers in the near future, so if you don't want to miss that along with other quality videos, then may I suggest hitting that subscribe button. Starting off with the positives, what an absolute thrill ride of a film. I am not a super big Sonic fan, I know the basic lore, but shoot, even for an average Sonic fan like myself, there are tons of references, Easter eggs, callbacks, and just so much more. One fatal flaw that a lot of video game movies make is that the film will basically miss the mark and disappoint the fans by not giving them what they wanted, but this movie, whew, oh man, they knew what the fans wanted and it delivers big time. It's a fast-paced, high-stakes, quick-action adrenaline rush from start to finish, and it gives the fans what they wanted to see. I have not had this much fun watching a movie since Spider-Verse or one of the Avenger movies, and honestly, this film felt a little reminiscent of those classic Marvel films. There's something special about watching a movie with fans of an established franchise and seeing hype reveals and things from the source material being brought to life on the big screen, and that can only really be captured by a movie like this. Shadow the Hedgehog completely steals the show in almost every scene he is in, and I swear dude, the animators did not have to go this hard to make practically every shot of him just so gosh darn cool. Maybe a little bit of bias considering he is my favorite character from the games, but honestly the stage presence Shadow has, or the aura as the kids like to say these days, is top notch and really exciting to see on the big screen, especially if you're a fan of the character like I am. Oh, and also bonus points for not making him an absolute edgelord in this movie. Keanu Reeves actually does a great job with the character and gave a fairly compelling performance that helped us to actually sympathize with Shadow. Paramount let the people behind this movie get a little more dark and mature with this entry than they did in previous ones, and I think that it not only allows the film crew to tell this story the right way, but it also adds some real stakes and emotional gut punches that the other Sonic movies were lacking. Shadow's story in the games is a really tragic one, and trying to lighten it up or censor some of its more dark and tragic elements would have hurt the story, so I'm glad that Paramount didn't shy away from those darker elements, since they are what gives the story its emotional weight. Jim Carrey does great as Eggman once again in this feature, although I did feel myself getting a little burnt out with some of his scenes by the end of the movie. If you've watched any of the marketing for this movie, then like this next part shouldn't really come as a surprise, but yeah, Jim also plays Gerald Robotnik, and basically having 2 times as much of his crazy antics in this movie as we did in previous films, yeah, at times it felt like it was a little excessive. But you know what, let me get back to the positives for a second. All the effects look fine in this movie and even exceptional, except for a few painfully obvious green screens, but sheesh, some of the animated action sequences in this movie are just phenomenal. Easily the best action out of any of the Sonic movies so far, with fast-paced, punchy choreography and some really cool cinematography choices that may or may not include a couple of long one-takes. Seriously though, there were so many moments where me and the others in the theater were cheering out loud, clapping, yelling with excitement at hype moments or a hype scene. If you're even a casual Sonic fan, this movie is a must-watch. For me, at least, it brings back the joy and the magic of watching a movie in the theaters, where everyone is united in their awe and adoration, and you can just feel the energy of the audience. So for that reason alone, I recommend that you give this movie a watch. Now, some of the negatives: for as hype and fun as this movie is, it definitely has some pacing issues, not super apparent ones that ruin the experience, but definitely noticeable ones where, sure, you can just turn your brain off and accept the fact that this story is running around at the speed of sound, but I would always prefer a movie to just have better pacing and be a good movie rather than being a good movie in spite of subpar pacing. Is the story dumb and wacky sometimes? Yes, absolutely, but for me personally though, I know what I'm getting into with a Sonic the Hedgehog movie, and I can look past the goofy, not tightly written plot because I know that it's going to lead to some really fun Sonic the Hedgehog adventures. However, just like I said with the pacing, I would prefer to enjoy a movie that is good because the plot comes together extremely well and not in spite of a mediocre plot. So I kind of touched on this earlier, Jim Carrey does great as Eggman and Robotnik, but there were moments where I felt like I was just burnt out. Like, there was way too many silly shenanigans, and those extended joke sequences were slightly hindering the rest of the narrative. I know they gotta keep the parents entertained somehow, and oh look, Jim Carrey is funny, now there's two of him, but in my personal opinion, it was a little excessive. Tails and Knuckles are sort of side characters in this film, which is fine. I know the main emphasis of the movie is on Sonic and Shadow, but I think it would have been cool to see a little bit more of them in action, and to have them just do a tad bit more for the story. This isn't so much a critique as it is a personal preference. I think that some of the time we waste with excessive Jim Carrey antics could have been dedicated to giving these two characters a little more of a role, but at the end of the day, it's not like they're MIA in the film, and that's fine. If we're getting a little nitpicky, the themes of the movie are fine, but they can be a little heavy-handed and obvious, which I know that's so kids don't miss the point and don't miss the theme, so I'm not saying don't do that, but I would have liked it if there were maybe some additional subtle themes and undertones that kids who rewatch the film when they're older would be able to pick up on and have a new appreciation for the movie. Again though, it's not a super big deal, not really a criticism, more so just if they would have done this, then the movie would have been better. Overall though, this movie is a must-watch for Sonic fans. Tons of hype, exciting moments, some gripping and emotional scenes, funny jokes and impressive action, and make sure to stay all the way until the end of the credits, even if there is an Easter egg halfway through them. The Sonic movies show no signs of stopping, and at this rate, if they keep improving with the next installment like they have been doing in the past, then I have no qualms at the moment with a fourth film in the future. This film is about to make Paramount a boatload of money, and they sort of tease a new story on the horizon, so there will definitely be more Sonic movies coming out in the next few years, and it's really indicative of the tide shift in the film industry. Video game movies are on the up, and superhero movies are looking like they are on their way out. I wonder who called this happening just over a year ago. If you want to hear my thoughts about the future of video game movies, then check out that video. If you like this video, then make sure to leave a like, and if you want to support the channel and stay tuned for future uploads, subscribe and turn on that bell. I hope you all enjoyed my review. I'll catch you all on the next one, and have a great day.